Alright, I am back after, let's see, last time I made a video was March, and that was before the world caught on fire, so it's been a little bit, but I'm back and in another unfamiliar place, this time in my kitchen, because I am cooking. Yes, very unique. Not a thing that's ever been done on YouTube. I know, I'm a trendsetter. I'm going to be doing, not really a series of videos, it's going to be one video of just me cooking a bunch of things, because I don't know about you guys, but I'm incredibly bored here, stuck in home. What else can I do other than consume? I've been consuming visual media, I've been consuming written media, I've been reading way more books than I used to. I've been consuming, well, those two things, and food. So, you know, people eat food. Why not make food? This is a really bad intro. Anyways, what I'm going to be doing is making pizza crust. Not a pizza, because that will be tomorrow. I mean, making pizza crust before, because if I make the pizza tomorrow, then I will get very impatient and not allow the crust to rise for the proper amount of time, and nobody wants that, and I'm not really doing anything anyways, so we're pizza crusting. I'm gonna put the recipe in the description, but pizza crust, it's very simple. It's deceptively simple even, I would say. Your main ingredients are, of course, flour. I used unbleached flour because the recipe said that it would be good to use unbleached flour, so I'm just gonna listen to them. I have a package of yeast. I used to have like a jar of yeast, but I don't know what happened to it, so we're just gonna use a package. And besides, this is the recommended amount to use for the recipe. We have some sugar, which I will explain later. A little bit of salt. We're not gonna be using this entire thing, that would be obscene. And olive oil. So, first things first with any recipe is that you have to wash your hands. So, I'm gonna do that. And now that our hands are washed, hand washing is, I would say, particularly important with a recipe like this, because you're actually going to be getting your hands into things you don't want. You don't want grimy hand pizza crusty. That would be really bad. So what we're gonna do is first we have to actually activate the yeast. So for that we're going to need, first thing it says, warm water, yeast, and granulated sugar. So we are going to need about, let's see, 1 1/3 cups of warm water. It gives a temperature range, but I don't have a thermometer, so we're just gonna feel it out. Warm water in the bowl. Yeast, of course, we have a package of yeast. I'm just gonna open it with scissors at the corner. And pour it in, all it in there. Oh, sugar. It says a tablespoon. I'm just gonna use a basic eating tablespoon. That's a fork. I don't know if it's actually come out to a tablespoon, but this is what I will use because it's just easier that way. Do a little bit more than that. Spread it in there. So the sugar does not add any real sweetness. It's essentially, since, you know, yeast is a living thing, it needs to eat. And it feeds off of glucose, which is, in this case, sugar. We're going to cover it with a cloth. Just real simple. And we need to let it sit for 5 minutes. Okay, so it's been about 5 minutes, and we have activated yeast. You can tell it's activated. You can see there are little bubbles in there, and that means that the yeast that's in there is eating and digesting the sugar that we put in there earlier. So what we're gonna do now is add the flour. So this recipe calls for 3½ cups of flour, which should make enough for 2 12-inch pizza crusts. I know this is a liquid measuring cup, but I also don't care. So we're going to measure out 2, 1½ Put that in there. I'm just going to use a spoon to mix this around. Set this aside. Put it on the countertop. Ooh, that kind of went everywhere. Set that aside. Ooh, forget the salt. Okay, well, I forgot the olive oil. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do for that, since I am quite forgetful. I forgot to add the olive oil. Oh, this is turning into a disaster already. I'm gonna just measure out. Let's see, I need 2 tablespoons. We'll do 2 tablespoons just right here. And also a tablespoon of sugar. Not sugar, salt. That was quite silly of me, I must admit. Okay, if this flops, I will not be surprised. So, it's a lot of work. This recipe says that if you poke your finger in and it comes back, like it bounces back, then it's more or less ready. I think it needs a little bit more kneading. Alright. Yeah, I'd say that's bouncing back. Okay, so we have a nice little dough ball here. Alright, a nice little dough ball here. Now, we will transfer it to the place where it will rise overnight. So a plastic container like this, it needs to be this big because it will get about this big as it rises overnight. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take some regular cooking spray and the bottoms and the sides nice and covered and just plonk it in there. And that's basically it for me anyways. I'm gonna go rinse my hands. And the next thing we're going to do, which is the last thing that we're going to do, is cover it with plastic wrap. You can use aluminum foil or like a cloth or something if you want, but I use plastic wrap. That just absolutely loves to cling to itself. Well, I would say this is enough to just loosely cover it because you don't want an airtight seal. You want to have, some room and space for the yeast to, further activate and make the dough rise. So, normally it would take, this recipe says 60 to 90 minutes, so an hour to an hour and a half. Yeah, hour to hour and a half to rise. Normally outside of the refrigerator. But you can let it be in the refrigerator for about 8 hours. So, pop it into the refrigerator and let it chill out there overnight. So that is basically the basics of pizza crust, if you remember to do everything correctly, that is. And so tomorrow we will check on it, see how it's doing, and then make our pizzas, which will be a whole lot of fun. Well, folks, it's been a day. Now it's time to actually construct the pizza, but before we do that, we have to address the dough, which I will show you right now. As you can see, it's risen quite a bit since last night, and this is about where it needs to be. I have no idea how much impact me joshing up the recipe had on the dough itself, but I think it will be fine. So, we're back at the counter now, and I have our toppings. I have cheese, of course, can't have pizza without cheese. More cheese. I'm gonna use just mozzarella because I just kind of want to. Oregano leaves, garlic powder, pepperoni, cooked Italian sausage right here, 1 can of tomato sauce. I don't know if this will be enough. Fresh basil. I'm just gonna put these whole on it, no chopping. Basil leaves, this is for after it comes out of the oven. And of course we have the dough. Alright, preheat the oven to 475 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is in Celsius, sorry. So, what we're gonna wanna do now is to basically just punch the dough down. I washed my hands already, by the way. Punch the dough down just to get all of that air out of there. Take some flour, spread it out so it doesn't stick to anything. And we're gonna take our dough. Wait, my goodness. I have to stop doing that. I'm gonna lay it out on the counter. And actually what we're going to want to do is split this in two. I don't have one of those like bread slicey things, so I'm just gonna have to use my hands in my best judgment. Last time I did this, I think one of them ended up being a little bit bigger than the other, but it'll be fine. So I'm just gonna take this up the middle and pull it apart. We have two things of dough. That one away for now. I'm going to shape this into a sort of kind of circle as best as I can. I know there's a way to like shape the dough with your hands and like do the spinny thing that you see at like Italian restaurants, but I'm not going to attempt that. Instead, I'm going to use a rolling pin, which I forgot I had. And we're going to try our darndest to roll this out into a circle. Oh boy, that did absolutely nothing. It's sticking. And that looks about as good as I'm gonna get it. So I'm going to, number one, get some spray olive oil. The recipe I'll be linking says to put cornmeal on it to make the crust like, I guess, extra crispy or whatever, but I personally don't like that, so I'm not gonna be doing that. You can do whatever you like, but I shall not be doing it. So I think this time around it did okay. Now what I'm going to do is just kind of stretch it out to the edges. It's going to want to come back a little bit, and that's fine because I literally just sprayed it with oil, so it's a bit slick. So to form the edges of the crust, we're just going to finish these up to the best of our ability. Honestly, if it's not a perfect circle, that's just fine. It doesn't really need to be. It'll come out really just fine either way. And this is circular enough, I feel. And so now I'm gonna set this aside and get the other pie sheet. Well, no, I'm not gonna get the other pie sheet. I need to open this can of tomato sauce. And there we go, can of tomato sauce. What I'm gonna do is we're just gonna pour it on there, really nothing to it. Oh, this is loose. Is this loose? No, this is definitely loose. I think it'll be fine though. I'm just gonna spread it around. Going on to this one. Alright, I think I like that. So, before I put any cheese or anything, I'm going to add oregano. Well, I just fumbled that. I'm gonna add oregano, and we're going to add garlic powder just to give it some flavor. Well, I don't know if that's too much or not. I think it'll be fine. Now, I haven't done this before, so I don't know how this will taste or if it'll even be good. You might not want to use garlic salt, because then it just will make it salty and not garlicky. It's like a good amount. And there we go. So now we got all of that. It's time to cheese it up. I'm gonna use this already open bag of mozzarella. You really can't have too much cheese on a pizza, I think. So you can just really go ham in the cheese department. One's going to be sausage and pepperoni. One's just going to be pepperoni. We'll do pepperoni first, since pepperoni is going on both of them. Oh my goodness. Well, this is interesting. It's just you just have a solid chunk of pepperoni, I guess. That's interesting. I'm not really sure what to do with it. I can't put it on a pizza. Do people eat like solid pepperoni sticks? I know there was like a thing in Trailer Park Boys where Ricky would always force Corey and Trevor to like buy whole sticks of pepperoni for him, which I never really understood. I don't know if that's like a Canadian thing or what. Maybe it is, I don't know. I've never seen anyone just like, you know, eat pepperoni. Actually, that's false because I'm pretty sure Slim Jim is pepperoni. So, enough pepperoni. I'm gonna open up this. Well, that smells interesting. So, okay, well, it appears to just be sprigs of basil. So I guess we can pluck. Oh no, one fell on the floor. Just pluck it off. It's very strong smelling too. That looks about decent. It's a good looking pizza there, you know. Got the colors of Italy: red, green, and white. I don't know why I had to think about that for so long, my goodness. I'm gonna set this one aside since it's basically done. My mom specifically requested that I make a pizza with some sausage on it, and she also, for whatever reason, requested that I cook 2 pounds of sausage. Now you see how much sausage I have and the pizza that we're working with, and it's a whole lot. I don't really know what to tell her. I mean, she will see when it eventually comes time to eating it. I think that's enough. I'm gonna rinse my hands. Alright, we are in home stretch now. All we have left to do is add the cheese. Okay. I know I said you can't add too much cheese, but I'm starting to doubt this statement. Now all that's left is to put them in the oven. So these will go in the oven for 12 to 15 minutes. I think I'm going to do 15 minutes because it just feels right. Now we're going to open up the oven. I'm going to put one of these on the bottom rack. And we'll just wait 15 minutes. Alright, so it's been just a little under 15 minutes. And as you can see, the pizzas are done. This one was on the top rack, this one was on the bottom rack, and you can definitely tell the top rack one got cooked a little bit more than the bottom rack one. As you can tell, the crust is still a little light colored than this one, but I say they are done enough. This one had some spilling over the sauce on the crust. This one, as you can see, it has these big, I don't know what you call that. I feel like there's a technical pizza term for it, but I don't know it. And if I had to guess, it's because the crust was really thin right here. This one didn't really have it. This one had it here, here, and here. But honestly, it'll be fine. Now all that's left is to add the basil, not cut it. I was going to say cut it, but that is the next to last step. So this one already has basil on it. I don't really know how it'll taste, but we're going to just add some dry basil. And this dry basil will just get nice and introduce, I guess, into the melting cheese and the grease from all of the sauce and pepperoni and etc. Start with this one. You know, I never actually tried cutting pizza with scissors, but I would imagine it would work out pretty well if you don't have a pizza cutter, if your pizza cutter is like too dull or something. So that's something that you can try if you want. Now we have 2 cut pizzas. Well, it was an interesting 2-day process. That's kind of it. That's really all I have. I'm gonna eat this now. Thanks for watching. Twitter, Ko-fi, follow me there if you want. It's up to you. I think we'll close out with a little montage. I think that's a little appropriate, you know, a nice little food porn montage.
Ay será ni meresa yette tu sayado.
So, fun fact about this video, as you can probably have guessed because I literally just told you, it took me 2 days to record, and I edited the first half last night. And I must say, you guys are in for quite the slapper, if I do say so myself. I had a lot of fun editing that video. Usually, I measure the success of a YouTube video on whether or not I had fun making it. Because I would say most of my YouTube videos flop, I guess compared to other people's. But I really don't mind. I just really like having fun while doing it. And I will say, this is pretty fun. Yesterday was a little awkward because I haven't been in front of a camera for a very long time, but today I think I'm a bit better. And also, it's really the edits that are making me funny. I'm not a funny person myself, but anyways, we're already going too long.